And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. This is the show about St. Mary's University athletics. I'm your host, Dean Beckman, the faculty athletic representative at St. Mary's. My co-host is Donny Nadeau, who's perplexed right now.
Did we scare all the guests away?
We did scare the guests away. No guests today on today's Cardinals Nest, just Donny and myself talking St. Mary's sports. Donny's our sports information director. He's got it all up here. He doesn't need the cheat sheets like I have here.
Well, you know, it's pretty crazy, and we did think that it would be a good time for a Cardinals Nest just to kind of recap where we're at in the winter seasons, and we've got one sport that's actually concluded their season, and the rest of them are right in the thick of playoff hunts. So we thought it would be a good idea to maybe just take a step back from the visitors and try and give some information about what's going on in Cardinal athletics.
Yep, get you up to date on everything. So we're going to roll through all of the winter sports, and if we have time at the end of today's program, we can even get into some of the spring sports because they're going to warmer climates than where we're currently at. But we'll save that for the end of the show. So Donny, taking a look at some of the winter sports, one of them has already concluded its season, and that is swimming. So they had the MIAC championships this past weekend, and record-setting performances for a couple of St. Mary's swimmers, one on the women's side, one on the men's side.
Yeah, it was really a great way for them to cap off the season at the MIAC championships. And when you talk swimming at St. Mary's, you've got to talk about Brooke Shevchik for the women. Phenomenal end to her junior year. She had 5 school records at the MIAC championships and just really performed outstanding all week long. It's a 4-day event, and every day she broke at least one school record, and the last day she broke 2. So it was really a great way for her to cap her season off. And you know, we've talked about her all season long and the type of performances she has and how talented she is, and she just proved that against the best in the conference last weekend.
Yeah, and then we have on the men's side, Brennan McClay. He's breaking school records, and he's only a freshman.
Yeah, Brennan had a really solid. I mean, it's hard to call it a breakout season because it was his freshman year, but for him to perform the way he did, one school record. He was in the consolation finals in 3 events, so it was a great way for him to kind of kickstart his collegiate career, and we've used his name quite a bit as well this year. And I know that you know, there are so many solid performances. There were lifetime bests and season bests just about every single swim that the Cardinals had last weekend, and so the whole program deserves kudos on really a great way to cap the 2019-2020 season.
Yeah, Katie Bites had a lifetime best, and Erica Camarado also delivered a season best.
Yeah, keep going. You can
name
up
going,
anybody
right?
on the roster, and in their events they performed. In swimming, that's what you want. You want them to use the year as kind of a training tool, because this 4-day period is what they're shooting for, and they make sure that they taper so that they're ready to go. And obviously, Coach Lowe did a great job of making sure her athletes were ready to go heading into this final MIC championships, and everybody performed very, very well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Clearly, Amber Lowe did a terrific job this year, the head coach for the Cardinal swimming program, because they were peaking. And we've had Amber on the show before. We had Brooke on the show before. And they said that's exactly what you have to do. You have to tailor the training sessions, the practices, the other meets, all leading up to where you want them to peak. And that's not easy to do. It's a long season.
Yeah, and you look at, just look at the events that Brooke swam in, and she broke the school record in the 500. She broke the school record in the 1,000. She broke the school record in the 1650 freestyle. She broke the school record in the 400 IM. Those are all long races. And when you think about her doing that every single day, she's got to make sure that the rest of the season that she's preparing to be able to do that, and obviously did a fantastic job.
So all of the other winter sports are still going on, and so in the rest of this first segment here on the Cardinals Nest, we'll touch on men's and women's basketball, and then in the second segment, we'll get into men's, women's hockey, track and field, and then if we have time at the end, some baseball, softball. But for men's basketball, Donny, no matter what happens, if they make the playoffs, if they don't make the playoffs, this has been a successful year. And of course, we want them to make the playoffs, and they certainly have aspirations to do so. They have 2 games left in the regular season. The teams that they're battling with for that final playoff spot also have 2 games left. So there's a lot of ways it can still go. Suffice it to say, Wednesday's game against Gustavus at Gustavus is crucial. But again, 9-9 in the conference, 12-11 on the season. This has been a successful year.
Absolutely. And you got to tip your hat to Coach Fano. He's done a phenomenal job this year, and he's put the team. We talked at the beginning of the year that they wanted to be in the hunt for a playoff berth, and that's what they had set their sights on. And right now, with 2 games left, they are more than ready to make that next step. We haven't been in the postseason in 35 years, and for this team to come up and maybe get that monkey off our back would be phenomenal. But as you said, to have 12 wins on the year, already 4 more than we had last year, it's been a great season, and one that certainly has turned the tide in terms of men's basketball, and hopefully is just maybe a preview of what we've got to come in the years to come. But you are right with Wednesday's game is a huge game. Very simply, if they beat Gustavus on Wednesday, they're in the playoffs. That's as easy as it can get. So Cardinals, just beat the Gusties, please. If they don't come away with a win, then they've got a couple of options. Obviously, they've got 1 game left against St. Thomas, one of the top 5 teams in the country. They would have to beat them, or they would have to have St. Olaf lose against St. John's on Wednesday, and then to a McAllister on Saturday. So there's still plenty of ways that they can get into the playoffs. It's just a matter of just win on Wednesday, and there is no question therein. There wouldn't be any tiebreakers or anything. They would be in the playoffs.
Well, and I think what Coach Fano said is important. He said that they control their own destiny. If they take care of business Wednesday, that's all that has to happen. Sounds simple, but
simple
it is
on our end.
simple.
It's not so simple for them.
And they found that out Saturday against Hamlin when they played Hamlin at home. That was a team they had defeated by double digits earlier in the year on the road. Then Hamlin comes into St. Mary's, Jim, and beats St. Mary's. And so this late in the year, there's just nothing such as a guaranteed win or anything like that. Every game is a hard-fought victory.
and that's what we always talk about, the MIC and the toughness of this conference, and last Saturday was a perfect example. On paper, that should have been an easy win for the Cardinals, but there are no easy games in the conference, and the Cardinals are going to have to go out and take care of business. And I think that if I were in Coach Fano's position, I'd want to be right where they are too. You know what? We win on Wednesday, we're in the playoffs. We control that. It's all up to us. So let's go out and get the job done. It's certainly easier for me as I sit behind a desk and a computer, but they're talented enough, they're good enough. It's just a matter of going out and doing it. Very tough to do on the road, but there's no reason that they can't come away with a win on Wednesday. And next week we're talking about postseason play.
Right. Do you ever think Coach Fano says, if I was in Donny's shoes, this is what I...
I'm pretty sure he never wants to be in Donny's shoes.
He never tells you how to do your job?
No.
All right. And we'll keep it that way, right?
Yeah, let's keep it that way. As long as we're talking men's basketball too, you've got to look at some of the performances that they've had this year, and the reasons that they are where they are. And it starts with the seniors. And we talked to Coach Fano last time he was on about the seniors, Kevin Gleason and Christian Mites, and then Jason Tim as an assistant, student assistant. That's where really this has started from. They could have easily just said, you know what, I don't want to put in the time and the effort. I've got 1 year left, and I don't want to be the one that has to turn this around. And yet they're doing just that. And then you've got somebody like Eli Cave who's having a phenomenal year. He's averaging over 19 points a game, and no doubt is one of the top 4 scorers in the conference, and probably one of the top 4 players in the conference. And then he's got a great cast around him. You look at Kareem Anthony Bello has really come on of late, and Coach Fano needs to rely on him coming off the bench, and the list goes on and on. There are so many good players this year that have found their roles and are really excelling at those roles.
All right, in women's basketball now, while the season hasn't gone the way they've wanted it to, we had Coach Foley on last week and talked a little bit about that. There's no question they are peaking at the end of the season here, because now 2 Saturdays in a row they pulled off upsets on the Cardinals' home court.
Yeah, big win on Saturday against Hamlin. Now they'll also close out their regular season this week. They've got Gustavus at home on Wednesday, and then they travel to St. Thomas on Saturday. And you're right, it's unfortunate that we can't be talking playoff implications for the women, but for the start of the season that they had, for them to rebound the way they have at the end of the year is really a testament to Coach Foley and to those players, and how determined they are to right this ship and to make sure that they make a statement heading into the off season and into next year. And when you've only got one senior, who it was awesome to see come back and play against Hamlin. Michelle Reamer, coming off of injury, got to play 6 points, 6 rebounds in her home finale on senior day, and so that was really great. And so they've got a nucleus coming back that's extremely talented. And I really do look for big things from them next year.
Yeah, I thought too it was nice of the program to have Senior Day on Saturday, even though they have another home game this week, because that's the best chance for friends and family who want to come and support Michelle to actually get to the game.
Yeah, and senior days are very important. We've talked about that before, and for you get to see the turnout, and you get to see parents who are so proud of their children, and you get friends that come, and the banners are hung in the gym, and it's a special time. And I always, when I talk to the seniors, it's like, what? I know you've got a game to play. This weekend's a great example with men's hockey. I know you've got a game to play. It's an important game. But seniors have to take a step back, stop and smell the roses, and enjoy the day, because you've earned it. You've put all the time and the effort into it. You've survived all of Coach Sager's 6 a.m. workouts, and you've worked your butt off for 4 years. This is your day, and they should enjoy it. And I really think that that's important as you look back and you get older, like we are, and to look back and say, hey, you know what? That really was a special day.
Yep, no question. And with the women's program, you mentioned all the youth on the roster. There is a lot for Coach Foley to build on. You've got Brooklyn Paulson, who will be coming back.
Shaylee Vessel,
and Claire Patterson, who we had on the show. And I've said this before, I think one of the more underrated players, she doesn't get a ton of minutes, but when she is in there, she produces, and that's Jada Biermeyer. I mean, she's an impressive post player.
And the other one is Maggie Robertson.
Yeah,
Maggie had a career day against Hamlin. She had 24 points, and she's one of those that should be a true post, but yet she's out there shooting the three. So
and she's knocking them down.
And she's knocking them down, and she had a great game, and really was the catalyst to. They had 40+ points come off the bench against Hamlin, and we talk about it's great to start, but you know what? Those bench players are very important, and that win against Hamlin's a perfect example of that, of people knowing their roles. Maggie coming off the bench, 24 points, and that's huge.
Huge performance.
That's an outstanding performance, and all of those people, all of those tools are coming back next year. That's got to make Coach Foley excited about next year already.
Right. I think in their last 2 Saturday home upsets against Bethel and Hamlin, the outside shooting, the shots have started to drop. It just wasn't happening earlier this year, shooting at a low percentage, not anymore. So that's going to do it for basketball and swimming. But when we come back here on the Cardinals Nest, we'll get to hockey for men and women, track and field, and we'll even talk a little baseball and softball. That's next here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC.
You seek the open road, the ride. Big cities, main streets, countrysides. In search of dives, you've got to try. Bold flavors, dipped and glazed and fried. And by your side, there sits the guy. The car, the hair, the shades, high fives, the brisket, corn chip pies that bring tears to your eyes. You seek the open road, the ride. We've got your order. We've got your guide. Diners, drive-ins, and dives. Friday night at 9 on Food Network.
I always knew I wanted to be a gold miner ever since my grandpa taught me how.
I've been talking for years now about going mining on my own. There's gold out there. We're going to find it.
We're down on Eureka. Only piece of ground I got left to mine is underneath your license.
We're going to have to buddy up somehow.
Give me one good reason not to tell you to go yourself.
Are you prepared to change, Parker?
All new Gold Rush, Fridays at 8 on Discovery.
Are you ready for the biggest wedding event ever?
Say yes to the dress. America cordially invites you to represent your home state in the wedding of the year.
Hello, beautiful.
Yes to the dress, America! I'm ready to marry America.
50 dresses, 50 yeses. Save the date for Say Yes to the Dress America. All new. Saturdays at 8 on TLC.
And we are back here on the Cardinals Nest. Dean Beckman, Donny, Nadeau, and
still no
guest. They're not showing up today. What are we going to do? So what we're going to do is continue our sort of end of the winter season look back at all of the Cardinals athletic teams from the winter season, and we've already told you about swimming and women's and men's basketball. Now we're going to move into hockey. And Donny, we talked about Senior Day and the importance of that. And the men's hockey team will experience that on Friday night. It's a 7 o'clock game against St. John's at the St. Mary's Ice Arena. So if you get a chance, come on out for that game. And it's a big one for the team, but especially for the seniors as they'll be honored after the game.
Yeah, and as we were talking in the first segment, it's a very special day. They've got 9 seniors that'll be graduating, plus their student manager who's been with them for 4 years, probably as much of a part of the team as any of the players. But so it'll be a great ceremony after the game. They're going to try it a little different this year and do it after the game rather than before, and kind of recognize those seniors and. What they have to do before that is they really have to focus on St. John's on Friday and Saturday. Unfortunate turn of events, so to speak, against St. Olaf last weekend, where they ended up getting 2 of a possible 6 points out of the weekend series. So now they've got their work cut out for them. They're sitting in the 6th spot with playoff implications, and so they really need to sweep St. John's. That's the key. Is they've got to come up with 2 wins against the Johnnies. And, that's going to be no easy task with St. John's sitting in the number 2 spot in the conference right now. So, they'll have their work cut out for them. But, again, as we've always talked about, the fact that they are in this position, they have a shot at making the playoffs in the last weekend of the season, anything can happen. They played well enough last weekend. I talked to Coach Egan, and, as he said, have you ever seen a team play as well as we did and not win?
Right.
And, that's the reality. They're playing very well right now. Right now the key is trying to come up with the goal scoring when they need it.
Right.
They tied 1-1 against St. Olaf on last Friday, and then lost 5-3 on Saturday. So they need to continue that offense that they had on Saturday, but they need to clamp down defensively on that.
Well, and that last Saturday's game, I think, is a good example. They completely outplayed and outshot St. Olaf in that game.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The shots just didn't go in.
47-14, and you're losing 5-3. That makes it tough. But they just have to continue. Both games are at home. St. Mary's plays very well at home. They like the big sheet, and the problem is St. John's plays on a big sheet too. So I'm sure they like it too. But it's there for them. They control their destiny. They've got to win both games, and hopefully that will be what happens.
One player that we haven't had here on the program, Donny, that this year has really taken a big jump, I think, and that's Tommy Stang. I mean, offensively, he has been critical for this team's success.
No question, and I think you can just talk about the Stang brothers. I almost called him Brian. Brian's the father, so I went to school with Brian, so I know Brian better than I knew the 2 kids. But Jack's the setup man, and Tommy and Kyle Mee are the goal scorers as it's turning out this year.
Yeah.
But both of them have had phenomenal seasons. This is Jack's senior year, and he leads the team in assists, and Tommy and Kyle share the team lead with 11 goals. So they've got Jack and Tommy are on the same line, so they get to play together, play with each other, and so with Ryan Stoyanich in the middle, it's a very, very good line, and teams are having a very hard time stopping them, and they are extremely talented. It's nice that Tommy gets to come back for another year. I think he's one of those, and I remember every time we do an interview with a student athlete, you talk about the progression from freshman to senior year, and Tommy is just he's gone baby step and then just like a gigantic leap from his sophomore to junior year, and is really having an outstanding junior year, and looking forward to seeing what he does next year.
Donny, as you've watched this team throughout the year, who are some other players, either on offense or defense, that you think have made some big strides?
Well, I think if you look defensively, you've got Seth Camras has done a great job. Alex Rickoff, a hometown boy here from Winona, has really stepped in, and especially this year had an outstanding season. Trevor Wilhelm, a freshman, has proven not only to be a very solid defenseman, but he's also got the offensive skills, and he's doing a phenomenal job. There are so many, and I look at people like Dylan Robertson as a senior, is really second half of the season really stepping up and playing extremely well. And I think that, it's such a combination of all of these players. But I think defensively, their defensemen are really playing well right now, and give them, with Kyle and Trevor especially, give them that offensive spark that that you're kind of looking for from a defenseman. Very solid defensively, but also can get up in the play and score some goals.
Yeah, another guy that's got a shot from the blue line that's got to leave some bruises, Tyson Liverance. I mean, that guy can let it loose. He can rip it.
Yes, he can.
So they're 6-7-1 in the conference, 9-12-2 overall. Big hockey games this weekend. If you get a chance to make it out to the St. Mary's Ice Arena, do so. It's a 7:00 game on Friday night, that's senior night, and then Saturday it's an afternoon game, and they're all in the afternoon, Donnie, because they've got to sort out who's in the playoffs and who's out.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy on Saturday. I feel bad for BJ Picard at the MIC office because I'm sure he gets deluged with emails about this time of year, just trying to figure out all the scenarios. And when we start talking about women's hockey, we'll kind of touch base on how many implications there are to some of these situations.
You know who doesn't feel sorry for BJ? It's Dan McCain.
That's right.
Dan McCain, the executive director, he doesn't feel bad for BJ.
No, he probably just laughs at BJ and says, hey, go ahead and do it. Go for it.
So, all right, let's go to women's hockey now. And the women's hockey team, 5-9-2 in the conference. 8-12-3 overall, but again, you talk about a team that has improved under their first-year head coach, Sarah Murray. This is the team. We had Sarah on earlier in the season. This is a new experience for her. It's a new experience for her players who had Greg Moore for all those years. Now to have a new coach, new system, new everything except a new assistant coach. A lot of changes this year, but they've adapted nicely and are coming on strong.
And I really do think that as you mentioned, Jason Carter as the assistant coach, I think that has a lot to do with maybe some of that adjustment, being able to make those adjustments, because now the players had somebody that they're familiar with. Sarah has somebody that she's familiar with in terms of coaching now that she's worked with him, and I think that he's really helped bridge that gap between the players and the athletes, and they're coming on strong. They had a huge sweep of St. Olaf last weekend, and are right in the playoff hunt right now.
Yeah, before that they had tied Hamlin. They lost to Hamlin on the Friday night game 6-1, and then came back for a tie. I think all year Coach Murray has said we need to figure out how to keep it consistent from Friday to Saturday, and they sort of struggled with that this year, but now they're starting to figure that out a little bit.
Yeah, they are, and they're playing very well. And as we've talked with all of our sports, they are in the playoff hunt. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. 2 games left.
Yep.
We need a guest. I don't have to talk as much when we have a guest here. 2 games left, and they've got 2 games this weekend at St. Ben's. And they're 2 points away from Bethel, which is in the 5th spot right now. So there's 4 possible points available. And really what the Cardinals need, a couple of situations. They could sweep, and Bethel could get swept by Gustavus. That would put St. Mary's in. And then should St. Mary's sweep and Bethel win 1 of 2 against Gustavus, they'd be tied. And this is where BJ comes in.
Right.
Because head-to-head...
We need you, BJ.
That's right. The number 1 criteria is head-to-head. They split, so that is out the window. The second criteria is number of regular season MIAC wins. If the scenario is that St. Mary's won 2 and Bethel won 1, which would make them tied, they have the same amount of wins, which would be 7. Yeah. So then it goes to record against teams above them in the conference. And I have no idea what that is. So that's up to BJ. But those are the scenarios. So there's a lot on the line. But again, it really comes down to St. Mary's has to win at least 1 and have Bethel lose 2. But if they win 2, they're going to be in a good position because Bethel does play Gustavus, top team in the conference right now. So Bethel's road is probably a little bit more difficult than ours, even though they have a 2-point lead on us heading into the last week. Yeah.
All right, let's go to track and field now, Donnie. And over on February 15th, the Cardinals participated in, appropriately enough, it was called the Meet of the Hearts, and it was at Carleton College in honor of Valentine's Day, I guess, and some pretty sweet performances by the Cardinals.
Well, you hit that on the head. And I think that starting last week, the name Kyle Lichtenegger is going to become a household name because he is just absolutely having an indoor season to remember, and what a way to cap off a collegiate career as a senior. Kyle broke 2 records at the meet at the Hearts. He broke his own, basically both of them were his own. He broke the 55-meter record, and he broke the 200-meter record. And add to that the fact that he's already broken the indoor long jump record, and he is just a record-breaking machine. Yep. He's sitting right now, I want to say, in the top 5 in long jump in distance. So a trip to the NCAA Indoor Championships is probably a very good chance here with really just 2 weeks left in the indoor season. So it's just been a phenomenal indoor season for him. And Sidney Klossler also had a first place finish at the meet of the Hearts, as did Christian Beamer. Christian we talked about a lot last year in the outdoor season as one of our national qualifiers in the high jump, and he's doing a phenomenal job again in the indoor high jump this year.
So am I anticipating maybe a Kyle Lichtenegger appearance here on the Cardinals Nest?
I'm pretty sure that could be. I could have used him today.
All right, tennis action, Donnie. The men's tennis team has gotten off to a nice 5-3 start, and they are coming off of a big win over the University of Dubuque.
Yeah, they're playing very well right now, and really, it's for St. Mary's. Our season actually starts a little bit earlier than most schools. We've already got 7 matches in, and a lot of schools are really getting 1 or 2 in so far. So we're kind of ahead of the game here. But great performances all the way around, and Robbie Sobczak at number 1, and returner Gabe Graves, and actually the one that's really been I don't know if he's necessarily surprised is Trevor Smiley. Right now he is he's just basically unbeatable. Mm-hmm. The guy has really been very solid for the Cardinals at number 3 singles, and continues to impress me. I'm sure Coach Hallberg is like, I expected this the whole time. So he's doing a great job. Josh Jansen, a freshman, is coming in to fill in a spot in singles, and so I think they're off to a really good start, and I'm really excited to see this weekend. They've got McAllister on Friday, and then they've got Loris on Saturday, both matches at home. So it's good to see how things are gonna wind up. And then on the women's side, kind of the same thing. They got off to a 3-0 start. Ran into a couple of buzzsaws in St. Thomas and Gustavus. Really heartbreaking loss to St. Thomas last Friday.
They took that one right down to the wire.
They were up 3-0 after doubles and lost 5-4. And we haven't beaten St. Thomas and Coach Hallberg's 20-year career since I've been here for 25 years. And so we're getting closer. Mm-hmm. And I think that just tells you the talent that Coach Hallberg is bringing in, and really the coaching that he's doing. He's doing a phenomenal job, and that program just continues to excel.
Donnie, Jen Miller, the head softball coach, Nick Winicky, the head baseball coach. We've only got 30 seconds left here. They're packing their bags, right? They're off to Florida. Where are they going this year?
They're going to the same places as they have. Claremont, Florida for softball, and Auburndale for baseball. Softball's got 10 games. Baseball's got 10 games against, I want to say, probably 7 teams. There's a couple doubleheaders in there. Softball will be 10 games against 10 different teams. And really important for them to have these spring trips just to get ready for coming back and practicing inside for 3 weeks.
Well, we'll have them on the program, but we wait until they get back. They like to be nice and tan for the TV cameras.
Exactly.
And stuff. All right, that's going to do it for this week's Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching here on HBC.
How's the view down there?
It's like blowing my mind. We put on a little bit of weight, huh, big guy?
There aren't many books written about how to raise 3 genius kids. Actually, there are. They're just super long.
Jason Biggs and Maggie Lawson are outnumbered.
I'm gonna go take a phone.
English.
But small words.
Outsmarted.
People my own age, all they do is make penis jokes and Rick and Morty references.
God, people his age sound awesome. And laugh out loud fun.
Maybe we just did everything wrong.
We nurtured their gifts.
Man, that was dumb.
Outmatched Thursdays on Fox, or watch anytime on demand or Fox Now.
Flavortown Market, the arena for his legendary games, where chefs race to shop, their carts speeding like chariots. Courageously, they battle in games such as 5 ingredients or less, Frozen Food Feud, and the Food Wheel. All yearn to taste victory.
Oh, that's crazy.
But only one will be a champion in the aisles of Guy's Grocery Games. All new, Wednesday night at 9.
You guys will fight?
On Food Network.